It's super fun for 1 hour! And then I never want to play it again. Yeah, PS2's getting pretty crazy. PS1's been crazy a while, but PS2's getting to that point where certain games, it's just like... there's certain games where, like, they're not even, like, rare that we haven't seen in a while, you know, just weird stuff. Like, I can't tell you the last... I'm trying to think, just, like, weird. Oh, we got one in, today where I looked it up and I was, like, surprised on the low side of things. That it's by Capcom, I think, Nano Breaker. It's the action game where it's all about, like, collecting pints of blood.
Yeah, I think it's because that game is garbage, but I do know, like, a guy who's been, like, calling about that game, like, once a month for, like, a year.
No, well, we got it, so I hope he calls.
I haven't heard him from him for a while, so I don't know.
But yeah, it's like, it's just, the more enemies to kill, the more blood you collect, and it makes you stronger or whatever, and it's silly, and I'm sure it's not great, but it's like $10. Like, max.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this has got to be like a $25 game now.
Another
it's
game
like
that
$10.
Another game you figure would be like at least $20 would be like Chaos Legion.
Yeah, I was thinking Chaos Legion, and like
Capcom.
legit $10-12, and like that game's actually like pretty good, and it's just funny how that works. I love I'll still always love World of Outlaws sprint cars, like the only like sprint car game like ever made. Like no one, it's a very specific like person looking for it, but if you're like, hey, is there any sprint car games? It's like, yes, 2002's World of Outlaw sprint cars. That's the only one ever. Don't ask for any others. There's never, ever been another one, besides maybe some indie titles, I don't know. But it's just funny. Or like when people are like, do you have any drag racing games? And there's like 5 for the PS2 and like almost none since. It's just weird. You're like, cool.
Yeah, it's probably one of those things where the people that really want it are always asking for it, but probably the actual like fan base is just not there to actually make them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's...
These guys take like 8 hits. It's pretty epic.
Oh, a double kill.
6.
PS2 is an interesting system. When people are like, I'm collecting every PS2 game, I'm like, holy crap. That's like... That would take up, like, honestly, because there's so many of them, it would take up, like, most of the space in this game room for, like, one system.
I don't understand people that do that. Like, I have all PS2 and Wii games. Oh, so, like, 95% of your collection's complete garbage? Like, I'd look at that collection and be like, why do you have, like, any of this?
I think it's funny to... Like, if you're gonna do Wii, and you have, like, what's that one? My Horse and Me? Is that the one?
Yeah, My Horse and Me Gold.
Okay, so, like, that's funny, right? Like, if someone came over and was like, what's this?
Sure.
Yeah, and you were like, oh, okay, so I gotta explain this. So this game's really rare and expensive for no reason, and, like, everyone can have a good laugh about it, right? Like, that's funny. But, like, to be like, I have My Horse and Me Gold. Also, I have all the other, My Horse and Me games. It's like, okay. Like, alright. Cool. Well, what good Wii games do you have? Well, there's like 100... Is there 100 good Wii games? There's like 50 good ones. So what's the rest of this?
Even 50.
Babysitting Mama. Okay.
Carnival games.
Yeah. I do... Once in a while, there's like games for the Wii that come in that I'm just like very intrigued by, because I'm just like... Cursed Mountain, right? It comes in once in a while, and I'm like... Who was this for, right? It's just some, like, really, like low-key horror game, but it's not, like, very action-y, and it's for the Wii, and it's like, who was the target audience here? Like, who's just like, hey, listen, I need, like, a very slow-paced, horror game, but I only have a Wii, or I prefer playing on the Wii. It's like, I'm not really sure.
So I think I need a key. Where is a key?
Can't you go higher up?
You can go... The only 2 available spots are these 2 right now, because I need a key to go left.
Oh, okay.
I have the fire rod. I just did this dungeon a few hours ago.
Can you do on the right-hand side? Like, can you break open that spot on the right-hand side?
There's some spots, but I don't think this is one of them.
Okay. Let's see... Focusing. Can you leave out that way? Does that open up another...
Oh, wait, do I not need a key? Man, there's so many locked doors, and I didn't get a single one. I don't even know where they are.
Yeah, I think this is the top. Yeah, there you go. Yay!
I remember, like, opening a lot of doors and when I initially did this, but whatever, we're here.
This is the final part, right, of this?
Yeah. So, when I first entered here, I already had a key, so I didn't have to do this.
I like how the guys on the bottom give you hints about which way you can go. That's kind of cute.
Oh yeah, it does. Okay, so just gotta check this.
The
be a key.
The what you call it? The
I'm gonna be epic.
Oh yeah. Well, that's used so... I always forget about it, but that's used so much in the speedrun.
Yeah.
Like, get the thing you need, instantly use that. Link to the Past soundtrack is also, like, very... I don't want to say darker, but more, like... What's the opposite of melodic?
Like, atmospheric?
Yeah, it's more atmospheric than a lot of other soundtracks.
I like the soundtrack. I think Ocarina of Time is way more atmospheric. I think the perfect combination of atmospheric while also being good is Majora's Mask. But there's a lot of tracks in Ocarina of Time that are, like, trademark, like, jingles, although it doesn't even have... Well, it doesn't even have the actual Hyrule theme, which Majora's Mask has for some reason.
Yeah, the shop theme in Ocarina.
Yeah. But you'll get to, like, dungeons like Shadow Temple, and it's just, like, it's, like, barely even music.
Speaking of music, I'm curious as to how hard Resident Evil 2 is going to pander to the original game. Like, if, like, the police station is going to be, like, legit, like, the exact same music or whatever.
I also wonder if, like, Resident Evil 2 Remake's also going to be, like, just a few hours long. Like, back in, like, 1998, like, that was perfectly acceptable, but, like, in 2018, if they release, like, a 3-hour game, people are going to be really mad.
Yeah. I mean, people get mad at, like, okay, so, like, The Order 1886, right? Like, I played it and beat it. And it got so bad reviews, right? Also, I like how you hit that guy falling from the top. But, like, he was, like, on a different plane from you, but it still counted.
Yeah. They just don't understand that.
I was gonna say, Order 1886 is, like, I don't know, maybe a 10-hour game, something like that. Like, I play it slowly over the course of a week or whatever, and I enjoyed it, right? And I was like, huh, I had a good time with this game. It was, like, decently action-y, whatever, right? And it got, like, 2s. Like, 2 out of 10. Which I've mentioned before, like, a 2 out of 10 is a broken game. But sometimes people give it for, like, it's not long enough! And it's like, that's not it. You know what I mean? But, like, ooh, nice. But, like I said, Order 1886... Woo! Order 1886 got, like, a 2 out of 10 because it's, like, a 10-hour game with no multiplayer! So, like, Resident Evil 2 better be pretty long or people will be, like, very disappointed. Like, everyone always loves to be like, I love my old games, but it's like... Yeah, but you expect, like, 30 hours each game, you know what I mean? Like, it's... I don't know.
This boss is hard. I'm gonna die.
Yes. I was gonna say. I mean, Capcom certainly knows how to make long games. Resident Evil 7 is pretty decently long, especially your first playthrough. Like,
he's, like, in the worst position. Okay.
Like, you're not figuring that one out right away.
Okay.
You still have one left, right?
Yeah. But this could be sketchy. It's just so hard to dodge stuff. And he's in horrible position again. Jeez.
Yes! Nice.
This game's hard.
Yeah, seriously. And that is like, that might be the hardest boss in the game just because of the room that you're in.
It's because you don't have double defense until the 4th dungeon, and everything just takes a lot of hearts.
Yeah, but I was saying, Capcom can clearly make a long game. Resident Evil 7 pretty long. Resident Evil 6 is, like, unbearably long. That game is so long with garbage. So, like, I feel like if they can make it a quest that's, like, 10 hours, people would be, like, accepting of it. Or even if it's 5, like... I have no idea if they're doing a Claire and a Leon. Like, it would be acceptable if it was, like, a 5-hour game, and it was, like, Claire and Leon B, whatever. Like, I don't know how, like, strict they're being on it, you know? If they're like, we're gonna make it exactly like it. But, yeah, it's definitely interesting, because once you know what you're doing in Resident Evil 2, it is not a long game.
Yeah. But also the last Resident Evil game that they made was 7, and 7 was 5 hours max. Although I do think that 7 is a good game. It's not long at all.
I mean, as always, I'd rather have 5 really, really good hours than, like, you know...
I feel as if just...
a bunch of, like, extra garb. Like, that's what people want nowadays. They're like, I want Skyrim. It's got hundreds of hours. It's like... but it's all bad. You know, but it's like,
yeah.
I don't care. It's hundreds of hours of stuff. Like, I love fetch quests and blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, that's why...
literally, Skyrim, like, at the end, has randomly generated quests, so it technically has infinite content, but how much of it is entertaining at all? Like, I would just feel like I'm wasting my time. And I already feel like there isn't enough, like, time in a day. Like, not when I'm working. But, like, when I'm at home, like, I always, like, look at the clock, and I'm like, it's already, like, this PM? Like, how is this possible?
Yeah, and imagine wanting to be like, I want this game to be 100 hours. It's like,
And, like, I just so rarely play, like, long games. Like, Dragon Quest XI is an exception because I'm really liking it, and I just wanted to play, like, a very traditional, like, RPG game. But, okay, so I need to go to the forest, which I don't think I can do from here.
When do you get the sword upgrade?
Oh wait, I don't need to do this yet. I get it after this dungeon. I'll just do that. Ocarina Quest later. Alright, so... I hate this dungeon. It sucks.
I thought you entered from the top. Like in one of the other places. Maybe I'm thinking of something different. Or maybe I'm thinking of the Light World one.
Yeah, this dungeon just has one entrance, and it's a weird one where you have to lead the fake princess to Light.
Oh, that's
but
right.
You do everything in one go.
Is this the, is there anything to stop you from, like, doing this, like, first? Maybe if they put a hookshot thing in, because you just got the hookshot,
Yeah, I'm just
right?
trying to think if there's a mandatory hookshot point, but I don't think there is.
I noticed in the last, because this is the third one, right?
Yes. No, this is the
fourth
one.
I noticed in the last one they put, like, some random spot where you have to use the hammer. Like, it was totally unnecessary, but they put, like, a switch behind a hammer, so it's like, see? You gotta do the first one first.
Yeah, and this game... Definitely the 5th dungeon needs hookshot, so you can't do that too much out of order, but I think the 4th dungeon you can probably do right away. And very interestingly, the direct sequel to this game, Link Between Worlds, I don't think Spencer's ever played that one, but that one is extremely non-linear in the fact that you can just... They have this shop thing where you can rent pretty much all, like, the traditional, like, Zelda items, like, right from the get-go, and, like, if you rent the hookshot, then you'll go and do the hookshot dungeon. And then you can eventually own them all, but it is very odd, especially since Zelda, for, like, the longest time, is just such a linear game. It was a very good change of pace.
Yeah, I've heard only good things about Link Between Worlds. I'll have to...
It's a very good game.
I just don't play handheld enough. I don't know why.
Because it kind of sucks.
Yeah. My hands definitely, like, cramp up when I'm playing, like, a handheld too long.
And it's like, handheld games are just like, you just know that the only reason why it's on a handheld is because it was just cheaper to make. And they have a larger install base, especially compared to the Wii U at the time.
Yes. Yeah, that's funny. Speaking of that, it was, we were talking in the CIB LP group chat, registered trademark, about Switch and how we're, like, always sold out of everything Switch. Like, doesn't matter. We get, like, Mario in, it's like, it's gone. Like, Smash Brothers was the #1 selling game of 2018 for us. And it wasn't even close. I thought that Red Dead was going to be right there, and, like, Smash killed it. Oh, do you have any,
I don't think I do. But there is a fairy,
use the hookshot or something, right? Or the arrow, I guess.
I don't think that actually...
Ooh,
gotta be careful. There is a, okay, that's a little bit more of an insurance, but there is a guy that I can farm for fairies in this next game.
But it's amazing that, like, the Wii U was such a... Especially for Nintendo, like, you know, how popular they've been over the years. Actually, that works. The fact that the Wii U was such a failure, and, like, the Switch is just, like, so crazy. Like, I honestly can't think of any system, at least that the store's been around, that's been, like, this popular for this long. Like, yeah, of course, PS4 is, like, doing very well. But, like, just in terms of, like, people, like, looking for specific games for it, it's, like, just crazy. And that's after the Wii U. That's after everyone did not really like the Wii U, and it was very confusing.
Yeah. I've been thinking about the Wii U and Switch in terms of, like, how related they are, and honestly, the Switch, in terms of a system, is very similar to the Wii U, but it feels like a finished prototype of the Wii U, or a finished product of the prototype that was the Wii U. Because you have, like, very similar elements there, but the Switch is just so much more of a polished product, even though some things are way worse, like the Virtual Console.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that, for once, and Nintendo doesn't always do this, like, they, like, realize their mistakes, and we're just instantly like, okay, well, how do we do this? Like, it's, like, almost like the, you know, like Trevor was saying, the Wii U was, like, almost like a prototype, even though it was, like, totally not meant to be that way. But they're just like, alright, well, there's some things people wanted to like about the, Wii U, but, like, we just kind of did it badly, so it's like, I remember, like, when I brought mine home, and it was, you know, pretty decent amount of time, like, I didn't get it right away, like, I was like, dude, I'm gonna play New Super Mario Brothers, like, just like the system is downstairs, but I'm gonna be in bed playing it, and it's like, not every game can do it, which is annoying, right? But, like, also if you ever tried to play the Wii U, like wirelessly away or whatever, it's, like, not, the range is, like, terrible. Like, I would go, like, halfway up the stairs and it would be, like, out of range, and I'm like, dude, it's, like, 40 feet, you know what I mean? So it's like they took that and were like, you know what if you can actually just, for once, do it everywhere?
It also feels like, let's have the gamepad, but it be actually the console like it should have been.
Yeah. Yeah, and that causes so many problems, like, someone messes up their gamepad and it's like, might as well get a new system, bud. Just kind of sucks. Whereas if you break your Joy-Cons, you're like, well, they're expensive, but at least I can get another one.
Yeah. And the worst thing about the Wii U, since it was, like, two very separate components, was, even at the time when they sold it, like, launch at $300, which I thought was overpriced at the time, they were like, it's for a loss, because the gamepad's expensive to make. Even though it's kind of cheap garbage.
Yeah, it's pretty...
So I always get confused by these locked doors, because you're like, I don't have any small keys, but I guess, like, it's just, like, the big key?
Oh. Yeah, because I was looking at that. I was like, you don't have any keys.
Yeah. But like the first time that I did this dungeon again, I was like, I need 3 keys. What do I do? And like I wandered around for like a couple minutes, and I was like, there's no keys. And then I just touched them, and they opened. And I was
Ooh,
like, okay.
she's got to go fast.
Another funny thing when I was doing this dungeon, I completely skipped this room for some reason because you don't need the Titan's Mitt like at all.
Oh no!
And I finished the dungeon. I was like, I didn't get the dungeon item. Like, where is it?
And like you instantly need it for the next one, I think.
Oh, so this is another room where if you go in there, you just get locked in there, and there's no point.
This is a weird dungeon because if you, I mean, obviously eventually you'll find the girl, but if you didn't bomb that thing up there, you would like just be going around and like. It says the boss room's right here, and you just wouldn't do it. Now that I'm thinking about it, there's like not a lot of like, I don't know if I can name any other ones where you get to the boss room, and the boss might not necessarily be there.
Dude, you get to the boss room in like 2 seconds, and you're like, there's nothing here.
Oh, there is another one. Link's, Awakening, the skeleton boss, because you remember how you have to go find him in like several different places.
Oh yeah.
So that one is one you can find the boss room real quick, and you're like, the boss isn't here. That's a very unique but very hard. If you don't know exactly where you're going, you'd just be going over and over again like, cool. Imagine how many times you would die if you didn't know that fairy trick. Like, honestly. You would have died, like, 3-4 times already.
So this game doesn't have it, which I'm just disappointed, but the Game Boy Advance version still has the die counter that Ocarina of Time introduced. And I was thinking, like, this is the most, like, death-filled, technically zero-death file you can possibly have.
Wait, this version on the SNES Classic doesn't have the death?
The original Super Nintendo version doesn't have the
counter.
counter.
It doesn't have it?
No.
Oh.
Because I always get confused, because I played this game mostly on the Game Boy Advance, which will probably trigger people. Honestly, the Game Boy Advance version is pretty good, too. And has some actually better things in it, too.
I mean, it's mostly a port.
Yeah. It's mostly, like, the way that saving and quitting, and, like, you have more options to, like, continue from, like, the dungeon you're at, which this game doesn't have.
Do you understand? Not at all. Yeah, I actually did not realize that. And the original Nintendo Zelda has it. Death counter. I know that. I'm sure it does.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does.
Link 2, I don't know if it has it. Not sure about that one. But it's just funny how it, like, ends up not having it. That's that would be an interesting, like, video game, what's the word I'm looking for? Trivia question. Where, like, what does the death counter say in the original SNES version of Link to the Past when you start out? And everyone would be like, oh, 000, and it's like, says nothing, because it doesn't exist.
Alright, third sword, boys.
Let's go.
Although, gonna do a bunch of stuff while we're waiting.
What's the trigger for this? Like, a certain amount of screens or a certain amount of time?
I don't know, but I'm gonna be doing, like, a bunch of stuff, because I need to get the Ocarina, I'm gonna get the Invisible Cape,